Okay, this is going to be a video on how to do a multi-view drawing. You will need a paper of multi-view, a multi-drawing paper view. 3 sections are squares, and then this 4th section is the isometric. It's kind of like little triangles, basically, is what it looks like. You will also need, for this first one, I'm just going to example how to do it with the pink shape, but then future problems will use the blue and the white ones as well. So we're going to start with the pink shape. Now, one thing you're going to want to do, and it's hard for me to show on my screen, is the front of how to set up this shape. So basically, we're kind of looking at it like this view. You want the 3 to be on the right side, and then you kind of want this 1 coming towards you on the left side. So that's kind of how it's set. You'll kind of set it on your table. Now, my camera's up above, so that's why it looks a little bit different. So just, this is what you should kind of, the way my blocks are right now is how it should kind of look when you set it on your table. We are going to start with the top view, though, which makes my document camera here really nice. And so we're basically going to start drawing the outline of this shape, okay? So it's going to, we already know what it's going to look like because it's literally outlining from here. Now, you don't want to just put it down and trace it because we want to use the lines on our paper. So how I like to start this is the top left section on our paper. So we're going to start with a dot in the kind of top left corner. If your dot's in a slightly different spot than mine, that's totally fine, as long as it's not like down here and it's actually up towards that top left up here, okay? So I always like to put the dot, that's where I'm going to start. Also, because we're starting in the top left corner, we're going to start in the top left corner of our shape. So as if your blocks are looking like this on your table, but if you kind of stand up and look down at them, you would see this sort of shape. And we're trying to draw this top view. So we're going to start here in this top left corner where we put our dot. Now, on our square graph paper, 1 block is actually going to be 2 squares. That way we don't draw this little tiny thing, but make it a little bit bigger. So the fact that on this side, going kind of down from that top corner, we have 2 blocks. And if each block is 2 squares, that means we're going to do this using 4 squares. So if you have a ruler, it's good to use it. That will allow you to draw nice straight lines. I'm going to start at the dot, and I'm just kind of ignoring what's on the ruler, and I'm just looking at the graph paper. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. So I'll kind of zoom in so you can see this a little bit more. But here's my dot here, and I'm going to go down those 4 squares. Let's see if turn the light off. There you go. You can see it a little better. Okay, so I have my dot, go down 4 squares. On our block here, we just drew this side. Okay, so now we're down here in this corner. And if at any point I'm going too fast, you can always just pause and rewind. I'm going to try to make this video as short as I can. Pause as needed. So right now, my line is here. That means I'm at this corner. So I'm going to go over, and we only have 1 block, 1 edge of a block, which just means we're going to go over 2 squares. Grab my ruler and draw a straight line, just 2 blocks over. Okay, so we've started at this corner, came down this way, came over this way. Now we're going to go up, okay, and we're stopping here. Basically, anytime we run into another cube, we kind of stop there. So we're going to go up 1 edge of a block, which means we're going to go up 2 squares again. So it should look like this. Now we're going to go over, okay, and before we get to an edge and we don't run into any blocks, that's 2 blocks going over. So on our paper, 2 blocks is going to be 4 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So far we have that. Okay, we're essentially right here in this corner. We're going to then go up 1 side of our block, which means we're going to go back up 2 squares. That means we're now here in this corner, and we can now go straight across back to the corner that we started at. So here on paper, we're just going to connect where we're at back to that original dot. So another reason it's kind of nice to have that dot there so you know where you started. And now we have an outline sketch of what the top view of our blocks look like. Okay, they're both kind of in this weird angled L shape. So one thing to kind of do, so once you've done your outline, then we need to add some inside lines. And there are two types of inside lines. There are solid lines, which are essentially our height lines. And then we have dotted lines, which are hidden lines, or hidden heights, okay? So we have heights that we see, which are going to be solid lines, and then we have hidden heights, which are going to be used with dotted lines. So for this first one, I'll tell you right away, we don't have any hidden lines on this first one, but we do have some height lines. And what a height line means is between all of these blocks, if there's a change in height, which you can see as I move my pencil around, that we're going to add a line. So basically, this first block here, okay, down here, is at a lower height than the next one there. So we are going to put a solid line, essentially, between those two blocks. So I'm going to add a solid line right here. Looks like that. Okay, so between these blocks, there's a change in height. Okay, between the next two blocks, there's also a change in height. So we're going to add another solid line right here. Okay. And then there's a big change in height between these next two blocks. So we get another solid line right there. Okay. So this is not the normal. We don't usually end up with a drawing where literally they're all drawn into boxes. A lot of times we have bigger spaces or sections than that, but that's how this one worked out. Okay, so that's our top view. We've drawn everything we can see, and we've marked that there are some different heights here. So now we're going to go draw our front view, and the front view should be the one that when you look straight at it, and again, my camera's up above instead of looking straight on like a person would, but the front view is basically looking right here at this. So I'm going to turn mine so that you can see it on the document camera. Yours, you should be able to kind of see this from it sitting on your table. Okay, but this is what our front view looks like. So we'll back out a little bit. Before we can start drawing it, we need to start with a new dot down here in our front section. And again, this is the bottom left section of our paper here. So we're going to kind of start down somewhere in this bottom left section. That's how I like to remember. But in order to do that, I'm actually going to use my first dot up here, and I'm going to use my ruler, and we're essentially just, I'm not actually drawing a line, but I'm going to go straight down from that dot, and I'm going to put my new dot down in the new section, but now they're in line with each other. So again, if your dot doesn't end up in the exact same place as mine, that's fine. What I do need to make sure is that those two dots are in line with each other, okay? That also means that for this drawing, since we're in the bottom left section, we're going to start in the bottom left corner. So I'm going to start right here, and then I'm actually going to do this line going across first, and that's 3 blocks wide, and if each block is 2 squares, that means from this dot, I'm actually going to start with a 6 square line. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so we have our original dot, and then because the bottom of this shape is 3 blocks, we use 6 lines, 2 squares per block. Okay. Right now I'm over here at this corner. That means we're now going to go up, and that's another 3 blocks up. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 blocks up means 6 squares. So we started here, we went 6 squares over, and then we went up 6 squares for those 3 blocks as well. The next move is to go over. Now we're only going across one edge of a block, which means we're going to go over 2 squares. And again, if I'm going too fast, please just pause this video. I'm trying to make it so it's not too terribly long. Now I'm here at this corner, so we need to go down. And we're going to stop right here because we're running into this next block here. So don't think you have to go all the way down to the bottom. We're at this corner. We're going to stop right here. and that's 2 blocks, which means 4 squares. 2, 3, 4. And then from this corner, I'm going to go over 1 block, and then we're running into some blocks again. So I'm here. I'm going to go over 1 block, or 2 squares. That puts us in this corner. I'm going to go up a block, so up this way. That would be 2 squares. We're going to go to the left a block, which would be 2 squares. And then we're now back over here on this side, so I'm going to go right down this side back to our original corner. So that gives us our J shape. That is the same shape that we see looking at that front view here. Okay, we've done the outline. Now we're going to do our inside lines. Now, a reminder, inside lines are solid lines for changes in height and dotted lines for hidden heights. Okay, so I like to compare these 2 blocks here first. What we'll notice is that they are indeed at different heights. Okay, and you can kind of turn your shape and see that. All right, so the fact that this block is lower than this block means we need a solid line between them. So I'm just going to add that in here to my image. Okay, so we were lower, we went up higher, and then we're actually going to go back down again. Okay, so again, if I kind of keep turning, that's a big thing with perspective and multi-view drawings, just being flexible, kind of turning. These 2 blocks are at different heights, which means they need a solid line in between them. It goes there. And then these last 4 blocks are actually all at the same height. You know, I'm not running in anything. So we don't have any more inside lines over here because it's all at the same height. So this front view is actually all done. Okay, so we did the top view, which was this view. We drew that up above. We had lines everywhere because they were all at different heights. We did this front view, which was the J shape, and only this block was at a different height. So we marked that with those solid lines there. No lines through here because they are all at the same height. Now, again, if this was kind of how the blocks were sitting on your table, we've done this top view. We just did the front view, so now we're actually going to go do this right view. So I can show that here. Okay, it's probably sitting on your table, kind of something like this. We mostly see the front view here. If I just kind of turn the blocks, so I'm looking from the right side, this is the view that we'd get. So before we can start drawing that, we're going to put our new starting dot. And just like we did before, but instead of going up and down, we're going to go sideways here. I'm finding my original dot over here, and I'm just kind of lining it up. I'm using this, my ruler and the graph paper to kind of come over this way. If your dot's not in the same spot as mine, that's fine, as long as it's in line with the dots on the other one. So we always want those dots to kind of line up here. We're in the bottom right corner of our paper, so just make sure that dot's somewhere in or near this bottom right corner. You don't want it in the middle or too far over, or you will run out of room. Okay, so they're in line with each other, and the new dot's in the bottom right corner. So we're just going to start there. Okay, this is our right side view. We're in the bottom right corner, so let's start with the bottom right corner. So this dot is representing this corner right here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go up, and that is 3 blocks up. So that will be 6 squares on our paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that puts us up here in this corner. I'm now going to turn and go over 1 block. So from this one right here, let's go over 2 squares. That puts us at this corner right here. Okay, so we're going to come down 2. Okay, and the reason I'm not coming down 3 is because the next turn would be going across this block here. And we're doing an outline drawing right now. So I'm only coming down 2 blocks which 2 blocks is 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're essentially right here on our blocks. Okay. And then we come sideways over this way. And coming over 1 block, which is 2 squares. Here. Alright. Okay. So we're now in this corner right here. We're going to come back down 1 more block. And then that puts us here, which means we can go back to our starting corner. So I'm just going to go over, connect where we're at to that original dot. Okay, and last but not least, we need to think about our inside lines. And for this particular view, this block here is at a different height from all 3 of these, right? So if I kind of slide my pencil, it's running in because they're at different heights. Okay, so this 1 block is different height than these 3, which means we just need 1 solid line right here to show that that block is separate from these blocks or at a different height from these 3. So initially we won't have any solid lines here because all 3 of these blocks are at the same height. However, if I do a little turning, we'll reveal we have some hidden heights back here. Okay, so we have some other blocks here, okay, and we need to show that those are hidden back there, and we're going to do that by adding some dotted lines. Alright, so on my item here, I'm going to add in a dotted line right here, and that is trying to show this 1 hidden block right here, okay? Because the fact that these 3 tall blocks are at the front, they're hiding that we have looking from the right, we have a block that's only 1 high. So that's what that dotted line shows. And then we're also going to do a dotted line to show that, oh, there's also 2 hidden blocks behind these 3 blocks. So I'm going to do another dotted line that shows, okay, we have 1 block that's 1 tall at 1 point, and we have blocks that are 2 tall at 1 point. And we can also see this if I use my ruler here. Essentially, this dotted line right here is trying to show the height of that block there. Okay, so this dotted line is showing that tall or that height of that block. That's why they're kind of lined up there. And then that second dotted line, this one here, is showing the height of this stack or these 2 blocks over here. That's why we kind of line them up like that. Alright, the last thing make sure you do is that you make sure you put your name in the name box. Okay, the title is going to be the color of the blocks that you drew. The date isn't overly important to me, but it is 9/15, September 15th. And then put whatever class period you are in, so 7th period or 8th period or 10th period, whatever it may be. We still need to do our isometric drawing, but I'm going to do that in a separate video. If you have any questions, let me know. You can always rewind back through this video, rewatch small parts. But those are the 3 views, orthographic views of our block tower here. Okay, stay tuned for an isometric video.